to my channel. I'm so excited to be filming this today. To tell you the truth, for the past little bit I've been stuck in a rut and it has been no fun. Pregnancy has been different than I could have ever imagined, and that is a glorious thing. I mean, that is a wonderful thing. But it's been a hard thing. I didn't anticipate it. I didn't anticipate that it would change my life in the way that it's changed my life. Oh, you may not have even known that I'm pregnant. I think I may have put it in the notes of like my last video. But yes, I'm 20 weeks pregnant today, and that means I have just started to feel the baby kicking. I know that baby's larger than a tomato because I think tomato was last week. And sometimes I don't even really get those fruit references. They aren't very helpful. I talked to a woman who was 28 weeks pregnant, and she said that hers was related to a chive, and a chive doesn't seem anything like a baby, maybe in length, but that's kind of hard to relate. Anyways, that also means that my belly is really big now. It's bigger than it's been so far, and that's really fun. I'm glad to look pregnant. I find myself poking my stomach out all the time to kind of show people, you know, like, oh, look, look, look. So I'll really sway my back, which means my back hurts at night, which is stupid. What else does it mean? It means that I'm halfway, and I have my next ultrasound this coming week, and we're going to find out the sex of our baby, because I seriously don't know how I've made it even 20 weeks without knowing. And that also means that I am already working on a blanket for my baby. I just couldn't hold off anymore. I figured I can turn it girl or boy. Whichever way it needs to go, I'll figure it out. I'm ready to start doing something to prepare for this child coming into this world. So you can probably tell I'm in much better spirits now that I'm out of my first trimester and into my second, and actually probably closing in on my third before too long. It's gone fast, but at times I felt that it hasn't gone fast enough. I told some of my friends that I just want the baby to be here. I want it to be January. And they're like, oh, no, don't wish your pregnancy away. Your life is going to change. I was like, it's already changed. I want my sense of smell back. I want to be able to eat avocados again, because why, body? Why don't I like those anymore? That is my favorite. I would eat avocados every meal, every day, and be totally content. Maybe not thin, but totally content. But yeah, I don't like them. I actually cannot stand them. I can't even have them in my house. I'm like, get that out of here. I can't have avocados in here. It's so sad. That's probably been one of the saddest things about pregnancy. So anyway, I'm meeting with you like this because I figured I couldn't make myself do an art video, so I'm going to do a chat video as I am crocheting. So it's like a crochet vlog. Anyway, I thought it could kind of be like a craft talk, because recently I've come across some really good reminders about art. First, I rewatched my introduction video kind of on a whim, because my mom had mentioned to me, she called me and was like, oh, we watched it again, and was just talking about how I should do something like that again. And I was like, what was so good about it? That was my first video, and it was awkward. But I looked back at it, and it made me remember exactly why I had started this channel. And I had started this channel because I wanted to just talk with people about what creativity means. And I think this is the writer side of me, not necessarily the crafter or the trying to be painter / artist. I think this is the philosophy side of my brain, wanting to have conversations about creativity and what that means to us as humans. I talk about that with my husband all the time, and I'm really glad that he has somewhat of a philosopher brain too. So I watched that first video and I was reminded exactly why I had started this channel. And not too long after that, I came across a podcast that I really enjoyed. I found it on the Rabbit Room. It's rabbitroom.com. It's a blog It's a blog that was started by Andrew Peterson, who is a singer-songwriter and an author. Actually, he's written some kids' books that are chapter books. Kind of, I think anyone could read them. But, so he started this blog that is meant to be kind of a creative commons for people. It's meant to be a place where people who love creativity and love art can post things and post ideas and post stories and post poetry and their art and their music and things like that. And it's just a really neat place. I would definitely encourage you to go there and see what you find. I came across it because of my teaching. I was teaching with like a Christian school. It was really just for homeschool kids whose parents didn't want to teach them the particular subject that they would be enrolled in. And so I would use some of the short stories and poems on there because, one, they were written in a modern time period, and for creative writing I felt that that was really good for students to see what people were writing now. It's a really great thing to look back at past art and literature, but it's really good to see what people are doing now. And it was also a place where I could find material that was appropriate for that kind of atmosphere of teaching. But on my own, I was obsessed with the website. So anyway, they kind of, along with this blog, Andrew Peterson came up with a conference that they hold, I believe, annually, but do not quote me on that because I'm not absolutely sure. It's called Hutchmoot, and it seems like it's a place where people do a lot of craft talks. So they just talk about specific things and their relation to the world and their relation to God and their relation to life. And so I came across a podcast. Well, all this to say, I came across a podcast. If you want to go listen to it, which you absolutely should, it is the May 21st podcast, and it's called Legends of the Fall. And Andrew Peterson was talking about basically brokenness. You could call it sorrow, you could call it grief, you could call it trials, anything that would be sorrowful and that would be a result of the fall as an original sin. And he made me think of my writing and the point of writing in a really different way. I remember one day in college, I was in like one of my last classes as a senior for creative writing, and my teacher had brought in an author to talk to us. And she was trying to just give us advice going forward in writing novels and going forward in our careers. She is a published author, and she was telling us that whenever she gets stuck, she just does something really horrible to one of her characters, and they have to find their way out of it. And I was like, because I had such a hard time. I've had such a hard time writing conflict. I know that stories need conflict. That's part of the story itself. But a lot of the conflict that I would write within my short stories was really not high stakes conflict. And that was normally what I got critiques about from my teachers is, this is all nostalgic, and I like this and I like this, but you really don't have a conflict here, or this conflict doesn't seem to really fit the story. What if you did this? And their recommendations were always something that I was like, oh, but I don't want that to happen to my precious little character. I just saw a lot of my classmates writing really, it wasn't horrible, but it was just conflicts that would hurt my heart. And I'm the kind of person who, if I'm watching a movie for a second, third, fourth, fifth time, I always fast forward through the conflict because I literally can't handle it. It like puts me on pins and needles. I get anxious over it. And I don't know what that says about me. It says that I guess I'm just too optimistic, or I really love happy things. And maybe even that I have a wrong idea of sorrow and pain and grief. And I think that's probably what it is. That for the longest time, I've just seen it as something you suffer through, but not something that can really be good in a sense. And so that's what this podcast was about. He was talking about sorrow and its place in art and its place in the world. And I'm not going to go too much further into it because I would really love if you would go listen to the podcast. I'll definitely link it in the down bar because if you're inclined at all, you should go listen to it. It would help anyone in the arts think more about sorrow. And I'd go so far as to say that it really even helps someone who is currently grieving. There's just some beautiful things that he talks about that really helped me think through the purpose of sorrow in my writing, and I think it's going to free me to write about sorrow and to even put sad things into my story, but see that they're really useful in my stories. So yeah, that's number one where you should go listen to this podcast. And number two, I really loved that he started talking about kids, and he started talking about how parents are curators of art for their children. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. What a really cool description of a parent. And he was talking about how there was, I believe the book that his son had read was The Bridge to Terabithia, but his son came out of his room crying over the death of a character. And he said, what an awesome way for him to learn about sorrow in a really low stakes kind of environment, and also a beautiful way to not have it happen to you on a personal level, but it be personal because it's in a story. I really liked that and thought that's very true about readers and about learning. And I can remember vividly stories that affected me and that taught me things about the world. And it's very true that it is a low stakes kind of thing, I guess, to learn about sorrow through a book or through a song. And how beautiful that, we're kind of getting to be comforted by people who have endured sorrow. We're getting their take on the sorrow that they endured, and hopefully the comfort that they received afterwards. And if they didn't receive comfort, maybe we can understand why they hadn't received comfort and learn from that. So I loved that, and definitely as someone who's anticipating parenthood, I talked to my husband about that a lot, about how we're going to curate what our child hears and what they, the kind of art that they come across. I loved that. Because art is purposeful. And like I've said before, art, I think people can come up with all kinds of purposes for art, but honestly, a lot of art is made when people have come to grips with truths about the world and they wish to tell people their point of view, and I think that is so cool. And something I tell my students all the time is that even if every single person on the entire planet were going to be an artist, which I know they're not, but if they were, all of them would make something worthwhile. Every single one of them would have something worthwhile to say. Because all of us are individuals with individual experience. and we could all learn something from each other. And to me, that's encouraging because it helps me talk myself out of putting myself down for not being as good as I wish I was, in some sense. But yeah, so I think you would be encouraged if you watched that video. And I think, like me, you may come away having learned something that you didn't know before, and especially something about the human experience that is hard to come to grips with. He mentions a lot of really great literature and music in there, and yeah, so it's really cool. Other than that, maybe I'll update you on plans for this channel. I am planning on filming and uploading another paper clay tutorial, maybe even more than one, because a lot of people liked that and I love it, and I haven't worked with paper clay in way too long, and I enjoy that medium. I enjoy learning about that medium, and yes, that is what I'm doing. I am totally someone who is learning. I am a student. I am not a master of art. I am completely a student of art, and I hope that that's what's coming across through this channel, is that I'm by no means an authority on art in any sense, but I'm definitely an explorer. I'm excited to see what it may hold for me, and yeah, I wish I could say that more eloquently. What else? Probably some seasonal themed videos. I have a really great pumpkin bread that I really love, and I'm wanting to make some, so I may just film that for the heck of it. I don't know. I'm getting a lot of ideas. I don't want to do anything too like pregnancy vlogs or anything like that. I don't want to get away from my original intention for this channel, because I really do want to keep it art focused, because I know that that's what I love the most, and hopefully y'all are resonating with it. I really, really appreciate all of the really supportive comments that I've received, and I'm excited about all of my new followers. It's kind of incredible to me that people want to follow this, but I'm also really encouraged by it, and so I thank you for stopping by, and I hope that you continue to stay and that you find things here that you like. I'm certainly encouraged by you, so I hope that can be reciprocated. So yeah, I guess I'll try to work harder on this now that I'm done speaking. Obviously I cannot do two things at one time, but yeah, I appreciate y'all being here, and I hope that y'all are doing really well, and I'd love to hear from you. So like if you liked the video, comment, I'd love to hear from you, and subscribe if you like what you found, and hopefully it won't be too much longer before I see you again. Bye.